Hi, EcoKit here, and today I'll talk to you about the starting of a new series, Sponsoring an Animal. In this series, we're going to be talking about how sponsoring helps animals and even can help us, and even what I think personally this means to the planet. But first, you must be wondering, what is sponsoring? Well, sponsoring is when you give a bit of money to charities in order to help a selected species of your choice. For example, I've sponsored amur leopards with WWF, which is a charity that most of you may know that actually helps the environment a lot. You give them some money and they take care of a species with your funds. Some of the charities that do sponsoring are WWF, even another one like Cats Protection. But before we continue, why not press that like button and maybe subscribe? It's free and it really helps. Some of the charities that do sponsoring include Defenders of Wildlife, International Union of the Conservation of Nature, YUCN, Jane Goodall Foundation, David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, World Wildlife Fund, or WWF, Gorilla Doctors, and many other more, like Save the Elephants and International Rhino Foundation. These are all charities that help sustain animals that are endangered, and that there aren't many of them left around. Sponsoring is like adopting an animal from afar. You must be wondering, but it's not exactly the same as actually adopting one. Well, it's not, but it can be actually even better, because you don't need to have the right qualities in your house to sustain an animal. But here, you give charities the money to help endangered species which need your help now more than ever, and then they simply do the work for you, while always sending you seasonal updates on how the species is doing. But it's more than that. It's also having a type of special bond with that species, which is unique and really, really special. It's being connected to them and helping them in a way that is really, really effective. And you just have a bond with them, the species in general. And the feeling is really, really warm. That's what sponsoring an animal feels like. It's just amazing. And you don't even have to have the right requirements at your own house. It's just a personal bond. Something special that nothing else can ever imitate. But what do these charities do that help the species, you must be wondering? Well, your donations help charities fund hidden cameras which help them identify how many of the species are left. Also, it helps them fund operations and helps them treat sick animals of that species. Also, it helps them fund a protective area for those species to keep them away from illegal hunters or poachers. Now, why is sponsoring that important? Why do you want us to do it? You must be asking yourself. Well, the truth is that sponsoring helps the planet, helps species, and most importantly, you get seasonal updates, which are full of a lot of stuff. It's also really important because if you want to keep the diversity in our planet, then we need to do a little something to help these species that are having a really hard time trying to survive and trying to adapt to us trying to get more and more territory, leaving them with barely enough space to survive. The world is so full of different, unique, magnificent creatures, and if I were you, I wouldn't want to lose a single one of them. That's why sponsoring is important. Also, if you're still wondering, but what good does it do to me? Well, it does a lot of good to you. Because in nature, everything is linked. Everything has chain reactions. And if even one component is missing from the whole ecosystem, then something really, really bad could happen. For example, take tigers. If they go completely extinct, completely wiped from the face of the earth, then some species become too numerous because there's no one to hunt them down. Then these species go and take over other places, leaving other animals and species without homes. Then they must push each other to live in the city, to go where humans are, which can cause a pretty great problem. For example, imagine if, some leopards start roaming in New York. Now, this is really far-fetched, I know. It's just an example put there in the air, made up on the spot. But stuff like that could happen if even one single animal went missing. But you must be thinking, that's never gonna happen. Well then think about this, because this is something that really happened. Someplace in America, people began hunting wolves so much that there were so little left that the deer were not hunted down anymore because there was no predator to hunt them. So they became way too numerous and there was hardly enough grass for them to feed on. So they started to starve some of them who didn't get enough grass, enough food. And eventually that led to some of them, a lot of them, dying and even eating themselves. Now, a lot of worse stuff could happen that includes even us and makes us part of the food chain. Why is sponsoring important? Because it benefits everyone. Also, sponsoring has some really cool advantages. For example, if you sponsor animals with the WWF, their link is in the description, then you get a sponsor starter pack with a little surprise. And I will be mean and I will leave you hanging, because that's up to you to find out. Also, you get many seasonal updates full of really amazing stuff, and they update you on how your species is doing, which is really, really cool. Those are one of my favorite times of the year. Also, you get the feeling of proudness that you're helping the world, and that's something that hardly anything else can do. It's like a really warm feeling. Now, if you're poor and you really want to sponsor something, but you don't think you have enough money, then actually there are some charities that let you choose the amount that you give them. You can also do one-time donations where you can decide to give them $5 or even less, because they give you the option of how much you want. So you can give them from $1 to $50. So really, if you want to make a very big impact on this, you can even give them more than just $10. You can give them more than that. There are also separate donations. However, every little thing can make a really big change. So don't feel down if you can only give them $5. Because everything, even 1 cent, can make a huge difference. So, what are you doing there? Come on, go and sponsor an animal. Bye!